Hi guys, my name is Anne and this is my story. This one is on what the hell is going on. I am sitting here being guided, as they say, to tell my story. So I'm trying to think about, what's the best way to tell my story. And I'm kind of a bit of a geek. I like, I do a lot of research. I do a lot of reading. I enjoy science. Um, I'm not clairvoyant. I am clairsentient, so I do know that I just know things. I feel things. I get information. I get directed to information. But what do I think about what is going on? Well, all I can tell you is, it's based on the facts that I've gathered so far. Number one being how I feel. So I know I'm a different person. I definitely know that my vibration is much higher than it was. I just can feel it in my body. I mean, it's a constant. It's a constant. It's a constant high energy level. It's tingling and it's fairly consistent at this point. It started out being on and off, but now it's a consistent level of sort of energy or vibration. So really that's number one. Number two would be information just sort of comes to me. So I'm aware of things that are happening on a sort of a bigger scale. I'm sort of aware of things that are shifting, and I get this information, it just comes to me, and I have no idea how I do it. I don't necessarily ask for it. I don't necessarily channel it. It just appears or comes to me. Now I do spend quite a bit of time on my own without distraction of other people, so that probably has a lot to do with actually where I'm at right now, is because of that situation. So I do know that is happening. I also know that, looking into some more of the scientific evidence, that the Earth is going through major changes and major shifts that are happening. A lot of it has to do with what's action is happening on the sun, the position of the planets, etc. So I do actually do astrology, and I do follow that because I believe that is a very good guidance system for us. But in terms of the sun, there's lots of reference material on that, and we are going through an 11-year cycle, and we are at the point where what's happening on the sun is actually directly affecting us. And I know there have been reports put out by famous institutions that are showing a correlation between the activities of the sun and how it affects us both mentally and health-wise. So, when things are occurring on the sun, it does have an effect on our physical well-being. I know for me, for example, I'm very, very sensitive to the actions of the weather. And I really started putting all these pieces together a couple years ago. But I can just tell, I can feel it in my body, and I know when things are happening. I don't even have to read the reports, the science reports on the activities on the sun anymore, because I actually know it without even reading it. So it's a lot of changes to the body because we're trying to really have a new frequency, adjust to a new frequency. And that's been probably one of the hardest things for me anyway, is, in couple with the fact that my prior video talks about my health situation. It makes the story, sort of much more interesting for you guys and for me, because I am certainly probably different from most people. But I'm going with the flow, but I can certainly feel the energies that are hitting us, and I'm sure There's a number of people that if it's taking me a long time, I'm still not used to it, but there's a lot of people out there who are getting adjusted to these new frequencies. If that's what they want to do, everything is your choice. But I know how I feel, and certainly I attribute it to that because it seems to line up for me. The other thing is my thinking. So I tend to have the ability to be both left-brained and right-brained. I've had fairly thinking careers in the past, and it seems lately that the linear thought process is much more difficult for me. Certainly my creative abilities are much more apparent and much easier to follow. I mean, I've never actually been very good at focusing my whole life. There, I guess you would call that, or if you want to label it, maybe ADD type of thing. But that's worse now. I mean, my linear thinking is very difficult for me now. And also, when it comes to sort of communicating, this is actually difficult for me to try and describe this. I'm really stepping out of my comfort zone here, but I think it's important to get your message across. However, if I can help someone else, I think that's kind of the driving force behind really all of this. I mean, why else would I do it? But I really know that, as they call it again, I mean, somebody else made up this term of 5D because I'm certainly not, told. I'm just kind of based on the material that I've been kind of given and directed to, which is more about it. It's more I'm directed to read certain things that can be fairly obscure at times, but there's always information in it for me. But my communication is much more difficult because I'm actually, communicating with people sort of more from a higher level standpoint than from an actual written or verbal sense. So it's really telepathic, I guess, is what we're moving toward. I'm not as far advanced, I guess, as some people in sort of time travel and dimensional and all of that. I just am who I am, and I'm just sort of explaining kind of where things come to me. But certainly my intelligence, my ability to retain, I take in information and I seem to really be able to retain it because I really kind of like the foundation of sort of understanding what's happening. It's always been my sense to do that, to have some validation behind it and not just sort of the woo-woo stuff. Although that's a part of it because so much of this is coming to me obviously from a source that's beyond my control. And I know that I'm connected to what some would call source, some would call God, I don't know. I guess I kind of refer to it as the universe or source, for lack of a better word, because I don't really know what it is, to be honest with you. I just know that it's really directing me to a place that, from what I understand, is going to get me to where I want to go, which is really to be in a place of joy and happiness and positivity and to be surrounded in my life with good things. So that's what I'm striving for. So, I think it comes from a good place, and I mean that's who I want to be anyway. So I'm just following along with sort of what my intuition is telling me. I have choices every day in deciding what I want to do, and I know something has drastically changed within me, and from what I'm told, this is happening on a very wide scale. I happen to be one of the first waivers, as they call it, mainly probably because I've been through so much in my life. And part of my job is to really kind of help other people kind of make their way through it, because it's really difficult at times as you're sort of shedding that old version of you. I mean, they call it, consciousness. And I kind of look at it that, if you pass out and then you wake up again and you kind of go, oh, geez, what happened? You're becoming conscious, and it's kind of the same thing, except you're waking up sort of with a kind of a different view, if you will, less cluttered and less directed by others and more directed by yourself. And that's, you're really becoming aware of yourself, I think, is the bottom line. And that has its challenges, because who you are and your belief system is based on a lot of different criteria. I mean, it's based on things from your childhood, and even things from past lives, even traumatic events in your life. Maybe what your parents believed and passed down to you, how you grew up. So these things are sort of embedded in us, and to try and get to the point where that's shedded and you're coming from a pure state of yourself, then that's not as easy as it sounds, because there's a lot of embedded belief systems that are in there that we have to sort of work on. So I think we're on, as maybe some of you know that, this Earth is definitely going through rapid changes. The poles are shifting. There is a lot of volcanic and earthquake activity that is occurring right across the globe. I mean, you won't see this in the media, but you certainly will if you go online and check it out. So there is a shift going on many levels, and it's affecting many people. So, I'm not just one of them. I just happen to be telling the story. I get a lot of people thinking I'm crazy, and that, I'm a little bit out there, and wow. But I'm just speaking my truth, because, this is what's happening. I mean, it really is. So, I mean, if you're watching this, you're guided to be here and sort of listen to what I have to say. You sort of have to accept, the biggest thing here is that you've got to be able to accept change. I mean, I've changed completely as a person, in a good way, I have to say. I think, anyway. I have to ask my family about the rest of it. But you just have to accept the fact that change is occurring. And, if you try to fight it, it may not be the best thing. But that isn't completely, entirely up to you. So there is choice. It just depends how you want to approach it. So those are my viewpoints on what's going on right now, and it's changing on a daily basis almost. So as things move along, more information is coming to me, but it's all about love and belief and kindness, and collectively we can bring about positive change on this planet, and we just have to remain in that mindset, and really sort of block out the things that don't really fit with us or resonate with us. You don't have to believe everything. You don't have to believe this. It's up to you. But I really believe this is a good mission that we're on here, to try and bring about change. I mean, you look what's going on. I think there's room for improvement there. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'll continue to post things as I think maybe there's a message in there that may help somebody. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.